He took two big strides towards me and caught me by the waist, and before I could protest, I was scooped up like a toy and out to the balcony, getting drenched with Aman. I am wearing contact lenses, I guessed as soon as I felt the sting of the water in my eyes. Close your eyes, he said, setting me down. I closed my eyes and lifted my head up as I let the rainwater wash away the heat from my body. The past few weeks had been horribly hot in the city, and this was much needed. I could still feel my cheeks glowing red from being so close to Aman after almost 2 weeks, and I moved closer to him as I gripped his shirt like I never wanted to let him go. I could feel his hands move from my waist to my shoulders to my neck and then onto my cheeks. I could feel his breath as he closed the distance between our faces and leaned in so our lips were just an inch apart. Next time, if I am leaving the city for more than a day, I am taking you with me, he murmured against my lips. Clingy, I murmured back. I felt him smile before he held my neck and kissed me. Now I get why the poets go out about romance and the rains. The monsoons were really going at it this year. Most of my classes through July had turned The monsoons were really going at it this year. Most of my classes through July had turned into online lectures as none of our professors were badass enough to swim through the city's gutters, jumps, waterlogged railway tracks, or simply teleport themselves to university losers. So that meant that my days included spending a few hours at the bookstore, coming home before rush hour to avoid pedestrian traffic. Yeah, that's the thing in Mumbai. Attending online classes till 8 p.m. and then spending time by myself with my friends or with Aman, or reading or catching up with Achi, or chilling with Aman. Yes, there was a lot of Aman. My days would start with butterflies in my tummy from playing and replying in my mind every touch and every kiss we shared, and end with the anticipation of more. Whenever I felt like an obsessed teenager with the hormones doing all the thinking for me, I took a couple of minutes to have serious one on one chat with myself in the mirror. But the stupid smile that invariably appeared on my face, even as I reasoned through things, was brave enough to make me to feel everything I was feeling without assuming the worst. So I did just that. Occasionally, to keep myself in line, I dissected every meeting and scrutinized every conversation I had with Aman, but every time the familiar feeling of doubt crept up on me, he did something to push them away. One Saturday, we were chilling at my place with a 3000 piece Disney Plus puzzle with no plan of action for the best of the day. It was a rainy afternoon, so we would order takeout khichdi and chicken tandoori, and Aman made me a drink of rum and hot water. Aji drinks rum and hot water on rainy days too, I said with a stick of cinnamon in it. You should be having a drink with her then. He said simply, maybe someday soon. Today I exclaimed, we can't just go to Pune today. Why not? I had no answer. So in the next few minutes, I found myself packing an overnight bag to visit Aji with Aman. He casually offered to fly us in his private jet so we could be there in 15 minutes. Of course, I should have guessed that would be in his solution, but I pointed out how we would then not be able to take a detour for corn fritters and chai in Lonavala on our way. Also, hello, what about climate change? Ashok was immediately asked to arrive, and off we went. I had high expectations from the drive, but both of us passed out in the car the minute it hit the highway. I woke up when we were about 40 minutes away from Aji's home and turned my head sleepily to look at Aman, whose head was resting on my shoulder and his fingers intertwined with mine. His shoulders moved in a relaxed rhythm as he breathed in and out. His perfectly shaped lips were parted just slightly. I gently reached for my phone and indulged in a selfie with the most adorable man in the world. A strange feeling started pulling at the bottom of my stomach as I started at the picture of us. Was I leading him on? Why had not he asked me anything about the after the that conversation we would had 2 months ago? Did he look at this as just casual relationship? Was he seeing other women on the side? Was he seeing me on the side? What was I doing in his life? You are creep, Avni Joshi. His voice brought me out of my trance. He was sitting up now, though his head still rested at a lazy angle on the seat. I glanced at his sleepy face and bit my lip to hide a smile. I reached over and ran my fingers through his tossed hair and then over his cheek. Why am I creep? Because you take pictures of innocent men while they sleep. He stretched and put his left arm around my shoulders, pulling me close. Are we there yet? Almost. There it was. That feeling of calm again. All the doubts vanished and fine cocoon of joy evolved. My heart. Feeling was so dissipative. Which ones was I to believe? What started off as a weekend in Pune at Aji's house ended up becoming 2 nights and 2 whole days of overreacting yoga classes and endless discussion, most of which were strangely titled, "Oh, do you know what Avni did when she was 6 and 7 and 10 and 15?" Aman decided to work from home on Monday and I took a sick day. I texted Martin to tell him I would see him on Tuesday morning. Martin, have fun, virgin. Me. I'm in my grandmother's house, you pig. Martin. If you can dry hump your man in the bookstore supply closet, your childhood bedroom is far from inappropriate unless those hormones. I rolled my eyes, locked my phone screen, and made a mental note to make out with Aman in my bed at least once before we left for Mumbai. Martin knew me too well. Where did you find him? Aji whispered as we sat chatting in the living room on Sunday night after Aman had gone to sleep in the guest bedroom. I laughed I laughed at the thought of what a simple yet ridiculous question that was. He was not sweater I would picked up at a thrift store. He was a man, a beautiful man. We met at the bookstore. Aji, I said, laughing, reaching out to give her hand a squeeze. And now he is your boyfriend, she again whispered. No, I mean, we are hanging out. I don't know. Hanging out? What are you? Laundry? She snapped. Adi. I let out a snort. I have just met him. We are taking it slow. How old is he? He is 31. Then you are taking it slow. He is not. She replied calmly. What do you mean? Have you seen how that man looks at you? If you were not my granddaughter, I would marry him. I raised my eyebrows and looked at her in surprise. All those yoga classes and sangria nights she had been attending with her gal pals had made her facile. Then I remembered I could if I wanted to, Aji added nonchalantly. I shook my head and stifled a laugh. I leaned over and hugged her. I like him, I said softly. I can tell, she smiled. We stayed like that, hugging each other on the couch as my mind started going to place. I feared, and my eyes began to sting from fears. Tears I had not anticipated. I missed feeling like this, protected, tugged into Aji's arms when life seemed a little too much. She always knew what to do and say. And although I knew she was always a phone call away, I missed how she stroked my hair when she understood I was silently fighting with demons nobody could see. Like I was in that instant. Not everybody is the same, she said quietly after a while. That opened the barrage I was holding back. I cried softly as I held on to Aji. She gently patted my head and rocked me in her arms. I could pretend all I wanted, but I was thinking this anything but slow. I knew I was playing with fire and I liked it. 2nd August 2023 Avni. First fight. The thing about getting overly attached, emphasize on overlay to someone is exactly that. You don't realize how deeply you feel about them until something comes along to shake you into reality. Or in this case, someone. Now, I have known me for what 23 years? Yeah, and I have known Amar for 4 months approximately. So I wish someone would help me understand why I did what I did and how I did it. How come we don't hang out with your friends much? I asked. I haven't really seen them after that night at your house. Aman and I were chilling on my living room couch on a Wednesday evening after my classes and all his long business calls were done for the day. He was reading some smart leather bound book while I was filling my toenails. My friends? He asked absent mindedly. Yeah, we never see them. Don't you like meeting them? I do. Then why don't you? No reason, he shrugged. Is it because of me? I asked sharply. What do you mean? He put his book down. I mean, do you not mean them because of me? I haven't spending all my time with you lately. I haven't got around to making plans with them. It doesn't really matter. Then can they can make plans if they want to meet. Oh, so you are saying it is because of me then? I snapped. He set up a confused look on his face. What's your mind? What's on your mind? Nothing. You have met most of my friends. Do you want me to meet them again? No, I replied, biting the inside of my cheek, wondering why I had even started this conversation. Okay, he said simply and turned back to his book. We sat there in silence, which was perfectly okay. So I don't know what come over me that I opened my mouth and said a little belligerently, I have to admit, you have met all my friends, so you know, and you have met Aji. You have seen where I work. You have come to my university. You have seen embarrassing pictures of me as a child. I raised my eyebrows, and I guess all I get in return is watching you read a book in in my living room. You want more? He bit his lip to hide a smile. No, I replied correctly. It's okay. Go back to your book. Okay, okay. Silence again. Are you ashamed of me? I said before I could really think through what it was that I wanted from you. What? Are you ashamed of me? I repeated in my most annoying tone. Why the hell would I be ashamed of you? I don't know. You tell me what's going on, Avdi. Aman asked, gently scouting closer to me. Did I do something? Nothing, I replied and went back to feeling my nails in my head. And I decided that I was done with whatever this tantrum was, and I needed to have a little internal dialogue before I said things out loud. Aman, however, was not on board with this plan before because of because of course it had all happened inside my thick head. I would reel him up, so I deserved what come next. I really can't tell with you sometimes, he said. Can't you just say what you are thinking and make it easy for both of us? What I'm thinking is maybe you don't want me to meet all of your friends because don't say it. I work at bookstore and all those other girls you know are like Victoria's Secret models or some shit. There. Done now? Aman looked at me incredulous. Honestly, the fuck was wrong with me? I never got this in- insecure. I loved myself too much to compare myself to anyone else. However, I would be scrolling through Aman's socials, and there was a particular handle that kept commenting on every picture he posted. Someone I had not met at Aman's party all those months ago. I had told myself it was just I had told myself it was probably an ex girlfriend or just a friend, but something about the comments nagged at me. Anyway, coming back to the stupid situation, I would put myself in. Aman's response was sir when he said, I don't understand what that means. What's going on, Avdi? I want to meet your friends more often, all of them, but I don't want to tell you that. I want to meet all my friends more often. I want you to know that maybe it's time I met all your friends, all of them again. I blurted out. His eyebrows were now raised to his hairline. I looked down at my nails, hoping he would not read too much into this or just filling his book at me. I would have if I were him. I was being a brat for no reason. When I looked up, when I looked up, I saw he had crossed his arms across his chest and a smile had appeared on his face. Was he amused? He shook his head, chuckled, and pulled me towards him, tucking his face into the crook of my neck. I tried to fight it, but he looped his hands around my waist and hugged me tightly. You are cute when you are needy. You know that, he said. My jaw dropped. I am not needy, I said as I slapped his arm. I felt half annoyed that he would called me out of my moody nonsense and half relieved. How about dinner on Saturday? My place, my brother is in town and couple of my friends will be coming over. These are the only friends that matters, okay? He whispered into my neck. Oh, we are going straight to brother. Why not? And then maybe you and I have a little after party of our own once everyone leaves. He placed a gentle kiss on my shoulder. You are going to make me clean the dishes, are not you? I said. You know, I loved it when you get dirty. He winked. 5th August 2023, Avni. Woke up to deal with needy Avni. It was Saturday. I looked at my reflection into the mirror before I met Aman downstairs. The needy girl who had thrown a tantrum for this party to happen was not there anymore. This morning I had woken up as the introvert who blamed her briefly extroverted alter ego for making a plan that involved skinny jeans and concealer, concealer and stepping out of home. I took a deep breath and locked the door behind me. Downstairs by the car, Aman pulled me into a hug and placed a soft kiss on my cheek. You look beautiful, he said. I promise I did not spend the past hour trying out a bunch of clothes so I could get this reaction from you, I said with a serious expression. That brought on another hug. Let's go, he said. It was a much more intimate affair than I would imagined. We entered Aman's apartment to see a bunch of servers placing expensive looking silverware next to expensive looking plates on expensive looking placemats on every expensive looking dining table. A proper sit down affair with catered food and service. Not what I was expecting. Wow, I started. Yeah, I did not want a hectic scene, so I kept it simple. Sure, this was all pretty simple, nothing over the top or unusual at all. I walked around the table, taking in the finery, and then peeped into the kitchen, which was buzzing with chefs. The anticipation of boring evening lured as I poured myself a glass of wine and went to get comfy at my regular spot on Aman's living room couch. Aman was busy talking to the head chef when the doorbell rang. Before anyone could respond, he practically jumped out of the kitchen and sprinted to answer the door. I heard faint chatter from the halfway for a few seconds before he walked over to me with what I can only describe as an older, more intense version of Aman. Avni, meet Gagan, my elder brother. I put the wine glass down and bent over, expecting to hug Aman's brother when he stiffly stuck out his hand. Pleasure, he said curtly. A little thrown. I retracted my outstretched arm and shook his hand, firm hand, saying, a little farmer, and it would have cut off blood some supplied to my arm. I'll get you drink. Just give me a second, Aman said and went off to the kitchen, completely oblivious to my eyes, pleading him to not leave me alone with this new person. So, are you in town for business or pleasure? It was the first question that sprang to my mind in the absence of my ability to make small talk. Business, he said, not really, making a move towards the couch or any other sitting area. Nice, nice. I rocked back and forth, mentally screaming out to Aman to come back. Aman tells me you are based in London. That's correct. He stood there stiffly, his arms crossed before him. It did not look like this invitee would be the life of the party, did it? I thought and felt immediately guilty as someone who was socially awkward. I had no business judging someone else for not being personable with a person he would just met. It was unlike me to want to make more conversation in any other situation. I would have been relieved that Gagan was okay with his monosyllable Selby's response, but this was Aman's brother, and something about Aman's excitement at seeing him made me want to try a bit harder. So, do you come to Mumbai often? I have to go. Excuse me. He walked off towards the kitchen in the middle of my question. No fucks given. I stood there, sweat gathering on my forehead, ready to curl into a ball and become one with the couch cushions, when I heard the brothers emerge from the kitchen chatting and move towards the main door. Oh, Avni, Aman called out to me, looking over his shoulders. Gagan, can't say for dinner. Oh, I managed to reply before walking towards him. Nice meeting you, Avni. Gagan said before hugging his brother and stepping out of the door. I thought the dinner was for him. I looked at Aman as he shut the door and returned to the living room. Yeah, well, that's Gagan for you. You can never really make plans with him. His schedule is too erratic. That must suck. I can tell you miss him. We have grown used to it, he said. Should we head to the dining room and get comfortable there? Jogi is almost here, and Nikhil and Khushi texted to say they will reach in 15. Yeah, let's. The evening went fine after that, but I could not get the weird encounter with Gagan out of my mind. In all his reluctance to engage, I would felt he was watching me closely, almost secru- scrutinizing me. I wondered what Aman had told me about me, if anything at all. I looked at Aman and saw him guffing at something Jogi had said and figured I should stop overthinking it. That was just how his brother was, maybe a man of few words and fewer facial expressions. Later that night, I lay in bed wondering how strange the past weeks had been with my moods and emotions running untamed, and then woke up the next morning to the answer. My period was here. 11 September 2023, Avni, taking a chance on the universe. Does anyone else suck at multitasking as an adult too? And I don't mean the pay bills while getting 3 meals a day and not die of dehydration kind of multitasking. That's basic survival shit. I have lived by myself long enough to have cracked that. I am taking about the kind of compartmentalization of priorities That needs to come with being an adult. I visualized it as many lateral charts of to do placed parallelly in your mind, with all of them needing to be accomplished together, like wanting to have a steady source of income while studying, while also making time for skincare before bed and clocking in 8 hours of sleep. What do you prioritize? Like spending money on avocados but also fighting with the dry cleaner guy for bumping up the prices? What do you prioritize? Or in my case, like wanting to be a successful lawyer but also not wanting to stop thinking about a certain billionaire CEO who was the embodiment of every romance novel hero ever. How to prioritize? My life had been so much simpler 6 months ago when I would wake up thinking of no one in particular, get through my morning routine, then get to work and listen to Martin tell me about his latest fuck, study for few hours, come home, cook dinner, and then eat it while watching returns of the office. Even for someone who is all about enjoying her own company, the last few lines are sad. Maybe it was until Aman walked into the bookstore all polished and perfect. But at least those 6 months ago, I was not sitting at my study table at 8 a.m. on Monday morning, staring at an unfamiliar word that flashed across my semester results displayed on my computer screen. Reappear. Yeah, that's next three of my five course. Practitioners approach to competition law 53%, commercial contract drafting 81%, advanced company law reappear, banking and financial law reappear, corporate insolvency law reappear. Sit. I stared at my report sheet. This was worse than the time I would fallen off my friend's moving motorbike because I wanted to lie back and enjoy the rain in Pune. That was plain stupidity, but this was what was this? I stared with my eyes wide, waiting for some kind of pep talk to come through from somewhere. Came. I had never slacked at my school, and that too because of a boy. Never ever. If Aji saw this, she would probably come hug me for taking a break from being a nerd for once. Thank God something pleased you more than the company law. It's okay. I'm sure you will do better next time, she would have said, and patted me proudly on my back while she world collapsed around me. But no, this was not my life. I needed to get my shit together. I picked up the phone and called Maya. I needed to get an earful from someone. No answer. I called Martin next. It's 8 a.m. Bitch, who died? He answered in a groggy voice. My career. I don't have any coffee in me for your quarter life crisis. Do I need to make a mug first? Martin, I failed 3 out of my 5 courses and I am freaking out. This has never happened before and I don't know what to do. You failed 3 classes? He yelled. Yeah, I whimpered. Well, can you attempt them again? Of course I can, but that's not the problem. What's the problem then? The fact then that I failed them. I don't fail. I have spent the last few months being focused on everything but my career, and the result clearly show that if I keep going like this, I may not even have a career. Martin laughed. Calm down, it's okay. But it's not okay. I can't keep doing this with Aman. How is this Aman's fault? It's not his fault, it's mine. I need to take a step back and focus on my career. He is well settled anyway. I don't want to be the loser who got too caught up in her feelings. Annie, breathe. So you flunked a couple of classes. It's okay, everybody does. That does not mean you have failed as a lawyer. Are you dumb? I snapped. That is exactly what it means, Martin. Oh my god, feeling of instant regret and panic were starting to settle inside my chest. My hands were going numb for holding my phone to my ear with white knuckled force. Calm down, seriously, you have another chance to clear these courses, right? He asked calmly. Yes, alright. So let's focus on that. And Avni, yes, Aman might just be the best thing that's happened to you in a long time. He paused. You know, I am right. He is good for you. Don't mess this up because you don't see it yet. I realized as I felt my nerve calm a bit. Why did Martin have to wake up and make sense? I wouldn't have minded freaking out about the situation a bit more before logic took over. I told him I would call him back when I saw Maya's call waiting on the other's line. Morning, cutie, she said cheerily. Sorry, was in the gym when you called. Of course, she was running to perfect her already fit body and glowing skin while my life was falling apart. I failed three courses this semester, I said in a low voice. Okay, what are you doing now? She asked. You mean other than freaking out about my futures? Nothing. Brush your teeth and get dressed. I am picking you up for a breakfast in 20. She hung up. I had a couple of hours before I had to be at the bookstores and I needed to hear what Maya had to say. I needed to be sane human company so I would not spiral to dangerous places in my mind. So I did as I was told. Half an hour later, we were sitting across the table from each other at our favorite breakfast joint, not very far from home, sipping our coffee and waiting for our toast and omelette to arrive. What are you doing in this part of the city so early in the morning? I asked. I had to make a delivery to this snooty client who is becoming a bigger pain in my ass. With every passing minute, she rolled her eyes. I chuckled and looked into my coffee mug. But you tell me, she said. What's on your mind? I have never been distracted, Maya. I don't know how to deal with failing courses like the rest of us. Annie, you study harder and get through them the second time. But you knew that already. Now tell me what's really on your mind. She tilted her head as she waited for me to answer. I don't know what I am doing with Aman, I said as I let out a long breath. It started out as an innocent, filthy friendship, and now we are in uncharted territory where strange feeling and thoughts are taking over. She sipped her coffee and nodded at me to continue. I love spending time with him and I miss him when he is not around, but the more time I spend thinking about him, the more I feel like I'm getting blindsided by something that should be in plain sight. Like I'm walking on a tightrope without knowing how far I'll be fall if I don't make it to the end. Are you maybe feeling like that because you are stuck in the middle? She asked, articulating each word slowly. What do you mean? Maybe you know you like Aman but are too worried to label those feelings, so it's stuck between being a friendship and something more. And maybe that uncertainty it is what's playing on your mind. You are one of the smartest, most intelligent people I know, Annie. You have always lived by your own rules. I have watched you deal with whatever life has thrown at you and never felt you needed a reality check. You are careful and coincidence every day. Maybe somehow Aman has challenged that part of your being. And I am not saying that a bad thing, but you cannot fool yourself any longer than you already have. For the first time, I feel like you are not being honest with yourself, and that's not concerning. As I listen to her, the reality of her words slowly dawned on me. I don't know what is Maya, but with him, I am constantly waiting for the other shoe to drop. When I'm with him, life is perfect. But the minute he drops me home, I silently wait for a message or a call or a news article that will tell me that he is not as great as he seems. And I know how stupid that sounds when I say it out loud like that. But it's tough to not be able to trust someone even when they have given you more than enough reasons to trust them. My life is the opposite of what I have read in my books. Maya smiled as she held my hand in hers. I guess you will never know if you don't take any chance. Any, she paused. And that's choice too. You could choose not to take a chance and walk away from Avan because you believe he is not right for you, but it's choice you will have to make. Things are not going to sort themselves out of on their own. You can't be on the fence about it anymore for your mental peace and clearly make that choice. I bit my lower lip as I contemplated her words. She was right. It had been 6 months since I would have met Aman, and he had given me no reason to be broody about us. He had been nothing but supportive, respectful, and charming, and maybe it was time I got over my insecurities and took a chance. Chances were that I would have to live with a gaping hole in my heart if my fears were to come true, but there was also a chance that the universe would come through and give me what I deserve. Maya dropped me home a while later, and I went straight into the shower to let the new thoughts settle. I got ready soon after and left for the bookstore. I put my bag down on the billing counter and stared into nothingness for a minute before I fished out of my phone and dialed Aman's number. If there was anything I was sure about when it come to him, it was that he was definitely worth the risk. Hi gorgeous, Aman said as soon as he answered my call. I don't care how cheesy I sound when I say no words what have ever been spoken by any man who walked the face of his planet ever. It was 10:30 a.m., so I guessed he was on his way to office. His tone was relaxed, not like he had been in the middle of prepping for a work call borderline. I could not have timed it better. Hi, I said. What was it about this man's voice that turned my insides of gravy? How had it taken him 2 words to make me forget what an introspec- introspective introspective morning I would have just had 2 hours ago? I had contemplating moving to a new country and selling momos for a living, and now here I was sitting at my day job, smiling into my phone and talking to a guy who I might or might not be falling for. Did my girl sleep okay? Kind of, until she woke up to utter doom and panic. Your period's back so soon. Worse, your semester results? I completely forgot. What happened? They could not have been. I failed in 3 out of 5. I replied, feeling sad just hearing myself say it again. Can you reappear? He asked, not missing a bit. Yeah, baby, it's going to be fine. I can help you with the classes in any way you want. I can get Shirley to look for a tutor. A close friend of my father's is a judge at the Supreme Court. I can quickly call him to check if he can find someone who can tutor you for this semester. I'm sure we can get through this. I know it might not it look like it, but it's going to be fine, I promise. I bent my head down and smiled to myself. We can get through this, he said, and what was better was that I knew he meant it. I could stall what I had to say till dinner. Maybe I could ask him to pick me up after work and then cook for him while I told him what was on my mind. Or I could spare both of us the nerve and come clean with it now. Avni, you there? I am here. You want me to pick you up after work tonight? Let's go some dumplings for dinner. See what I mean? It's like this guy was made by God. When when she was glasses of wine down, because that's when you make the best decision. You have just the right amount of liquid courage to push your limits, and you are sober enough to tell right from wrong. I say, a woman with 2 glasses of wine can win the world like it's just another Monday. Without further thought, I said, Aman, yes, remember the time you asked me to be your girlfriend and I freaked out and ruined everything? Vaguely, does that offer still stand? There was silence on the line. I bit my lip nervously. Why wasn't he saying something? Was it too late? Did I take too much time reaching this decision? Should I have just shut up and eaten the dumplings later tonight? Aman, I said tentatively. I heard him draw a breath to say something on the other end of the line and started preparing casual answers to his responses. Option 1. No, okay, good. Thank God we are on the same page about this. Option 2. You met someone else. I am so happy for you. Option 3. Sorry, what? I think there was a cross connection just now. The last was by far the safest. Hello, I said again and heard the phone line go dead. He would hung up. I stared into the space around me like I would have just seen a ghost. He would choose and hang up on me rather than answer me. I quickly pinched myself to make sure this was not some fucked up nightmare. How did I mess up my career and the possibilities of future daddy to my 12 puppies all in one morning? I hopped off my stool and walked towards the cafe where Martin was busy talking to some guy who had come in. There must have been something about my expression because I saw him sniffing. Oh my god, what did you do? He asked in panic. Sit, sit. He indicated the stool next to the guy he was talking to. Okay, boo. Take 5. I have a crisis at hand. He told the guy and walked around me. Speak, you barked. Don't yell at me. I barked back. Sorry, your face is really freaky right now. Just tell me what you did. He put one hand on his chest and the other on my shoulder. I asked Aman to be my boyfriend and he hung up on me. I said. Martin looked at me like I would have told him Michael Jackson was still alive. What was it about these words from my mouth that just stunned man into silence? Say something, I yelled. Did you try calling him back? He blurred. Maybe he was in a bad network area. Nope. Uh, I felt bad for him because I knew I would put him in a spot too, and to think I had been mad at him for making too much sense when I had called this morning. This is the worst day ever. Why did I have to open my fat mouth and say stupid things? I could have just shut up and pulled over, mulled over my feelings for a day or two, and then made an informed decision. Why did I have to be impulsive and embarrass myself like this when I am going to be learn Martin? But Martin said nothing. He just looked at me, his lips paused for a second. I thought he was going to have a laughing fit. I fisted my hands on my sides because if he was going to laugh at me, he was going to have to do it with no teeth. I straightened up, rolled my shoulders back, tightened my chin up, and took two long breaths before I decided that I was not going to stand there waiting for Martin to say something. I was going to go back to my workstation and call Aman back and get this straightened out. I am a lot of things, but a crowd is not one for them. I gave Martin 5 more seconds before I turned to leave and walked being into a strong broad chest which had been just inches away from me. Before I could look up or process what had happened, I felt two strong hands around the back of my neck and my face being tiled up. It must have been all the overflowing emotions, but my vision was so blurry I could not comprehend anything. It happened so fast that my raging heart went absolutely quiet. The moment I felt Aman's lips on mine, I took a long breath to inhale the familiar scent of aftershave and my shoulders slumped in a submission. His hands moved up from my neck to my waist as he picked me up and gently put me down on top of the coffee bar. He moved in closer as he depended the kiss and ran his hands up and down my back. When I finally gained control over my limbs, I combed his face with my hands and pulled back from the kiss with wild confusion and anticipation in my eyes. Yes, he kissed my cheek and buried his face in the crook on my neck as I felt him smile against my skin. He was here. He came. He did not run away and block my number. I heard myself let out a short laugh. A relief washed over me. Having him in my arms had calmed down every little annoying voice in my head. I buried my hands in his thick brown hair and hugged him. Even if I died right then, I would not mind, not even a little bit. You could have just said that on the phone and saved me a whole ass panic attack, I murmured against his sweat suit jacket. I know, but what's the fun in that? He replied. Idiot, my idiot. How had I woken up so bad as today? How had I dealt with a mascare of a report card and cemented a relationship all in a few hours on a Monday morning? And to think I would done that with no wine in my system. Well done, Avni.